All right, welcome back to Comic Shop Talk, everybody, on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host Nico, and joining with me today, as always, is my co-host Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey, not too bad. How are you, Nico?
I'm okay. I'm on location right now, as I mentioned last week. I'm actually in Windsor as we record this today, and having a great time. But so today I unfortunately wasn't able to put some of the art together that we normally have up on the screen when we talk about it, guys. But normally we also put comic book art. But sometimes things like this happen where we can't arrange for it to happen within the time period that we record this. So no art showing off today, and yeah, excuse my setup in terms of maybe the audio or even the camera in this sense. But I think we're good to go, right, Chris?
That's it. Well, thanks for doing this on location. Taking your time out of your day to put this together.
I still enjoy it. I look forward to it. So that's why I enjoy chatting with you about comics, and it's always a good time. So yeah, without further ado, though, let me get to the other things here I got to mention. Again, I'll throw it off just because I'm on my phone here today. We're talking about the new comics that came out for the week of February 15th, 2023, guys, this week. And, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, the Late Night Collectors community. We're a sister channel of the Late Night Chat Network. Also check those guys out. But if you're here for the comic book content or any of the hobbyist content, check out our playlist here on the channel. We got all kinds of great stuff there, from collectible card games and sports cards and comics and all kinds of stuff. And we're still going strong. 64 episodes in. We do this show weekly. Check us out. Usually drops by Friday or Saturday every week. You can also follow us on Instagram at Late Night Collectors Community for all the up to date releases of the episodes, the times, and everything when everything drops. Spoiler warning, we are going to be talking about what happens in some of the books here today. We won't be showing any of the art off today, like I mentioned previously, but usually we also show off some spoiler type art to give you an idea of what the books look like, the art, comment on it, and everything. But yeah, spoiler warning, be forewarned, we are going to talk about some things that happen in the books. You can always read your stuff and come back. But yeah, man, without further ado, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Cheers. Let's talk some
Cheers.
comics. Yeah. That's one thing that's always the same. Got to make sure you got to have a beer ready for comic shop talk. That's for sure.
Tweet something.
That's right. All right. First up, guys, we got Avengers 14. Sorry, Avengers Forever 14. So, what do you think about this one, Chris? Yeah, I read this one online.
It's not bad. I like the cover there. You got an Ego Doom or something. I like the way it was written. The way they had the kind of. I think it was written by one of those Steves. I think he was writing a letter home, so that's sort of how the story was narrated. I thought that was not interesting, but just different, and kind of made it a decent way for them to show the battle. You don't get kind of stuck in all the lingo or the characters just kind of jibber jabbering through the fight. So I thought that was good. And there's some pretty good fights in there, with that Doom Planet, and I think it was that Black Panther Starjammer or Black Red Panther. I forget what his called name was. I didn't know he was so powerful, but he just flew through there, and
he shot right through the Ego Planet Doom's eye. He took his eyeball out at one point. Like, he's just like, yep, going in, going out. All right, gonna turn back around, going back at it, guys. He was like blasting through this thing's hull of the the actual planet. And
and then when the planet's kind of core was bleeding out, it was like bleeding lava or something. So I thought that was all interesting stuff there, kind of pushing the boundaries, and just all the Dooms in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess there was a bit of a double cross by Mephisto and his Council of Red, and things just keep on ramping up. I thought this Doom thing would be the big thing, but I guess they got even a bigger ending in store.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. I'm loving this right now. Honestly, like, it's nice to have jumped on to this event with the Avengers Assemble between the two books, Avengers Forever and Avengers main title, and having kind of left the titles for such a while. Obviously I wasn't totally lost because I was hearing your kind of recaps about the issues ever since I jumped off of the series, but coming back on for this event and the wrap up of Jason Aaron's run on the title for the last few years, it's been a lot of fun, man. I mean, we're there. It's just hitting on all cylinders right now. Is a hell of a lot of fun. Just go with it, guys. Honestly, I had a lot of fun reading this book this week with all the dooms and like the fact that they're saying, oh, they're not doom bots, they're literally all kinds
Yeah,
of different
dooms.
different planets. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. The art's good, and the storytelling's been, solid. Yeah, I think it was very enjoyable. I agree with everything you said. I think it's a lot of fun characters, a lot of unexpected type of. It's fun, even though like in a lot of these comics where they're just sitting around fighting each other, sometimes it gets boring. This has been anything but. It's been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun. Everything kind of seeing everything come together with all like the different versions of these characters. It's it may not have worked, but it has been. So
Yeah, I just feel good that it's everything's paying off too. Kind of reading some of those early issues, and it's just nice to see. It's a payoff that's worth reading.
yeah,
I give it a 4. I know what you're thinking about it.
same. Yeah, absolutely. Four out of 5 for sure. Yeah, no, I had a good time with this one, and again, it's just unexpected for me because I kind of just jumped back in for this event, but it's been a hell of a lot of fun. I feel like a lot of his Jason Aaron's Avengers run was lacking at certain times, but
Yeah,
this event to wrap everything up has been great so far for me. I think it's been and I haven't even read everything leading into it. So I mean, I feel if you had, maybe you even get more out of this than I am. But it's very fun, very fun. Yeah.
yeah,
Next up, we got Nightcrawlers #1, which is the next in the 3 miniseries. Last week we talked about Storm, the Storm miniseries, the Brotherhood of Mutants, and this is the second out of 3 miniseries that are spinning out of the Sins of Sinister event with the X-Men books. So, what do you think of this one, Chris?
yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't buy this one. I was sort of feeling bad that I didn't pre-order because the covers look pretty decent, but after reading it, I don't know. I thought it was so with all the I guess all the Nightcrawler variants or chimeras, whatever they want to call them. Looked like it could be interesting, and then I guess they sort of were freed from Sinister's influence. I guess like a whole crew of them, so they all end up being good guys. And I thought they're all going to be badasses, kind of kicking everybody's ass throughout the issue at least, but that didn't seem to be the case. So it was okay, but I didn't really care for it all that much.
No, I'm right there with you on this one. While the Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants one surprised me last week in terms
Yeah,
of how much I
on
enjoyed
a
it,
good way.
this was the complete opposite. This was not so good, and I don't know, I felt like we were missing something. Like it was confusing at times, and maybe that's because I haven't been reading Legion of X, which is the series that basically led into this. Like they're supposed to be replacing that series at the moment, right? I mean, we had read some X-Men Red, so maybe that's why we were a little bit more interested in the Storm one. But this one had me a little confused at times, to be honest. It seems like there's a lot of crazy shit happening in this miniseries, but it wasn't as good as even the one from last week. And I'm hoping it's gonna be the one next week, Immortal X-Men. I feel it's gonna be better than this one. So
I hope so too, because I was looking forward to that one, and I guess we got one good one not so good one. We'll see.
Right. Well,
Where the scale balance.
Because if I had to tell you at the start of all this, I mean, we were big fans of Immortal X-Men, and it's going to turn into Immoral X-Men next week for this next couple of months. And that's the only one I picked up in physical releases out of all these spin-offs. So I hope that one pays off. But yeah, this is the weakest so far out of the two compared to the Storm one. This is the weakest one so far, and I'm hoping the weakest one out of the bunch. That being said, because I'm really hoping that Immortal X-Men one is pretty interesting. But it seems like there's some crazy stuff happening in this one. Like I looked at the next cover of the next issue, and that looks like there's some other interesting characters showing up. You got a Spider-Man, like Chimera type Nightcrawler.
Yeah, didn't that Spider-Man one die? Like, didn't they kind of send him to do some recon? And I was kind of happy he died. I don't want to see Spider-Man get freaking thrown into this mess.
I didn't like that either, because like he was like bowing down to them in a way, like he was like their slave or something. Like he was like some sort of like messed up version of himself in this time period. So that was kind of like, again, this is 10 years right now, this first issue?
Yeah, I think it's 10 years.
Right. So like I feel you might have gotten more from it if you were reading the previous series that led into this change
Yeah.
up. But for me, I was scratching my head a couple times during this. I thought the art was fine, but the story was just like it lacked a bit for me. I was just like, yeah, it's okay. I don't know. So what'd you give this one?
I give it a 3.5.
I honestly, I'm only gonna go for only for a 3 on this one because
Oh,
I was
yeah.
confused at some of it. I might have just been me because I was reading some of my stuff quickly this week, but I was a little confused about some of the things that were happening in this issue. So I might stick with it just because these are all 3-issue miniseries, like for
Yeah.
the sake of reading the
Yeah,
whole
just to know what's
event.
going on. To read it online, it's not a big deal.
No, absolutely not. So yeah. All right, next up, Chris, you got Captain Marvel 46.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting tired of this Brood business. This is stretching out, and I guess we're going to talk about it later on. I guess in the X-Men series, but this comic here, though, I don't know if it's a new artist or a different artist. I thought the art in this one was just over the top. I thought it was great, and the characters that they were drawing in there, I thought that was good. But I'm just getting tired of the Brood there, and it seems this should be like a 3-issue arc, and I don't know what part they're on now already, but it's just been running too long. And I don't know, nothing big's going on in there, They're all trapped, but they've all been trapped before. I guess just going over old stuff again. What do you think of it?
Oh, I didn't read this. I don't normally
Oh
read
no,
Captain.
I thought you read this too. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's
No,
about it then.
because it is a tie-in with the X-Men Brood stuff that's going to be going.
Well,
Is
it's
this
not really a ton. Like I thought they were going to be crossing over because X-Men are
they
involved in
are?
this, but the Brood that's going on in the X-Men one, it's not. I guess the Brood are just being, for whatever reason, they're getting busy in the universe. So this, like, the other one's related but not tied in directly.
No, but I think there's a certain point, maybe not this issue in particular, but I think there is
Yeah, I
a
think they are
certain
going to
point.
cross over because we'll talk about it in the X-Men one, but that one's with what's his name, the Starjammer guy,
Yeah,
Scott Summers' father. He's got a
Cyclops'
Brood unit,
father.
but
Yes.
this has nothing to do with what's going on
No,
in Captain
but
Marvel.
I think it's leading into Corsair is his name. I think it's
Yeah,
leading into a crossover between the two books. But this
yeah, but
particular
these are
issue,
happening in different parts of the universe.
yeah,
Like,
but I think this particular issue wasn't part of the official crossover that is happening because I believe there is a crossover that's going to happen where it does say
yeah,
part 3, part 4, or whatever. I think they are
yeah,
crossing those books over, but this wasn't one. That's why I didn't read this one. But yeah, I read this in trade though. I do read this series. I've loved the series honestly up till now. So I don't know. You had said you probably were going to drop this in physical releases coming up very soon though, right? Like
yeah. I just read this one online, and I kind of felt bad I didn't have a physical copy because it does look good, but no, I think I got another one coming on pre-order because I got mixed up what I'm pre-ordering and what I'm reading online. But
right. Sometimes you got to do it for the cover too, right?
yeah, well, those covers aren't that spectacular, but the inside art was great.
Okay, nice.
I give this a 3.5. Well, 3.75 because I think the art was great inside there.
Nice. Do you have the name of the artist on there, or do you write digitally?
I read it digitally, so I don't have it handy here.
Okay, no problem.
But look into
future,
that.
Yeah, maybe for a future issue because it might be something to make note of in terms of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All right.
look over. Was it like a Javier or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fair. Next up, though, you got Spider-Man: The Lost Hunt #4.
Spider-Man Lost Hunt #4. This one kind of got squeezed on me there because I think I wanted to buy one of the a cover of Spider-Man: The Lost Hunt #2, and they just kept on ordering it for me there. So I know it was a slower week, and I was kind of interested in this one too because this was supposed to be the origin of Kraven the Hunter and sort of everything that's going on. I guess in this one here, he's got a wife, or he had a wife, and now he has a son, and it's the son that's hunting Spider-Man, or the Spider-Man that's in here, because this is a different timeline. Like, this isn't happening in this timeline because he's with Mary Jane. Mary Jane's pregnant. He'd lost his powers in this series, and I guess he's going crazy. I guess whenever he goes around with Kraven, they've been kind of slipping him the herbs to make him lose his mind. But
yeah,
but the gist of the whole story was the origin of Kraven the Hunter, and I don't know. Once again, this is a lot of retcon stuff. I think his wife was some like mystic from Wakanda that left Wakanda, and I don't know. It just gets too much. You just can't just let him be the freaking guy from Africa that was a hunter and takes magic herbs. So that would have been good enough for me. So, anyways, with that, I'd give this a 3.5.
Okay.
You know, I'm not,
One more issue to go, or
I imagine so. I don't even know how long this series was.
I think it's like a 5. I think it's
Yeah, I
5.
think it's a 5 issue series. And like I say, I only bought the second issue because I like the cover with Spider-Man's head on like a hunting trophy sort of thing.
It's interesting because like this is one of those series where the old creators are coming back to reprise maybe some of their storylines that were very popular the first time around, which Marvel has really been fucking pushing. Like they
Yeah,
always seem.
the thing is, this is out of that Craven the Hunter. I think out of Web of Spider-Man where
That's right.
where he
Well,
died.
it was a crossover between Amazing, Spectacular, and Web of, which is
Yeah,
Kraven's Last Hunt, which is
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
a seminal Spider-Man story. Like that one, if you guys haven't read that, that's why I feel like no matter how good this miniseries right now could be, like it's
it's
not
not, and it's just destroying. It's taking away from everything that was good of that one.
right, and not only that, it's going to pale in comparison. I feel like because like that was like at a time that was one of the seminal Spider-Man stories that also defined Kraven as a character. So
Yeah,
to kind of like go back to the well, you know what I mean? Like how many years later? Like 30 years later? I mean, like come on now. Like it's like what do you
yeah,
want? So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be fans of this, but like even by you talking about it, it sounds like it pales in comparison to the original story, right? And that's
yeah, definitely.
yeah. So, all right. And last up here, if, the ones you read here, we got Wolverine number 30.
Yeah, I've been kind of reading the last few issues of this because it's been sort of getting interesting between Beast and Wolverine, where Wolverine was sort of like an assassin, like a mindless assassin of the Beast. And I think in the last issue, Wolverine got thrown in the pit, and I guess somehow here he's escaped the pit, and now he's back to more of his normal self, and he's figuring out what's going on. So now he's trying to track down the Beast and track down some CIA operative that was, I guess he thought it was his friend, but then when he kind of thinks back on things and how things went down, this guy sort of double crossed him. And so most of the issue is tracking him down to help find the Beast, or yeah, the Beast, I guess, or Hank, whatever. And there is one good scene in there where he puts his claws through Hank's head. So that's a bit of a payoff in there.
Has it been mentioned as of yet though that this could possibly be the Dark Beast from Age of Apocalypse, or is this like just like
No, it's just supposed to be the Beast being, he's just they turned him into a villain, or he's for like the good of Krakoa. He's like the CIA of Krakoa, so he's got to do bad things to keep everybody safe.
right?
And he's kind of going off the rails a bit, and I guess he picked the wrong assassin in Wolverine.
Yeah, like whenever like that's what I was hearing about this, like that these characteristics of this most recent beast seems like the Dark Beast, like from Age of Apocalypse, because that was an evil beast, like you know what I mean, like character, like similar to what's happening right now. But a lot of people though, other than yourself as well, have been telling me like this is the best the series has been throughout the entire run. So like I hate when that happens because it's like I stay with these series sometimes like 50 and 20 issues, and they're like, wow, it's gotten really good. I'm like, who the hell is still sticking in past like
know what I
mean? Like
kind of going, getting stuck out in the desert of these dry stories, because it was been pretty bad through some of this.
Yeah.
But it is picking up, but it's still not spectacular, let's say. But it's interesting at least.
What'd you give
And
it?
I'd give this a 3.5. It's definitely worth a read online, even picking up a physical copy.
Yeah, I want to, because this current arc I've heard ever since this whole Beast Wolverine shit has been going on, and he's like trying to kill him actively. I've heard it's been really good. So,
well, if you got Wi-Fi on the train home, maybe you can read it. Can put some issues down.
Yeah, I might have to. All right, next up, I got Swamp Thing Green Hell number 2. Guys, the first issue literally came out like a year ago. Check back our show notes. I literally talked about it like I feel like a year ago at this point. this is one of those things that this whole series seemed to get abandoned. I don't know if it's as a result of Jeff Lemire, the writer, signing an exclusive deal in between that period to Image Comics, or if the artist just dropped off the face of the earth. These things happen with comics, unfortunately. But the fact that like the second and third issue are going to be coming out this month, and then next month is the last issue, the third issue. The fact that it's even finishing up, I'm just very surprised about it. But it just lost all its steam that it had going for it. Honestly, like I didn't reread the first issue prior to reading the second one, but like it was a year ago, and I barely remember what happened in it. Let's put it that way. All I recall is that at the end of the issue, John Constantine shows up at the end of the first issue. He's prominently in this second issue. This is in the future, and Swamp Thing's not around, but there is Swamp Thing type creatures around, like coming out of the green that are basically fucking with humans in this future setting in this story. And from what I recall, at the end of the first issue, they're talking about some magic man that can maybe help them, and then the people, the actual, just regular humans in this story, in this post-apocalyptic setting, come up to somebody that turns out to be John Constantine. That was the whole big reveal at the end of the first issue, from what I remember. So then in this issue, John Constantine, of course, having a huge history with Swamp Thing, of course, he somehow brings him, seems like, back from like the afterlife. Like he's there with his wife Abigail and his daughter, who is mentioned in some Swamp Thing stories from back in the day, which I feel like they've abandoned that whole continuity, but it was brought up in this. He's like, it seems like he's like he was with them together in some time and place. I feel like it's like he says he was at rest, and he hadn't have to deal with humans' problems anymore, and he didn't have to deal with the green. So it looks like they kind of like allowed him a pass to basically go and rest in the afterlife with his wife and whatever, right? And John Constantine pulls him out of this reality that he has for himself and brings him to the present day. And he starts trying to choke him out. Like he's fucking pissed off about the fact that he ripped him out of this time and place where he's like actually happy, right? And he's like, why the fuck did you bring me back here? Like pretty much like he's like, he didn't say fuck, but he's like freaking out, choking him out almost. Because it's like, listen, you can kill me if you want, but these people need your help. I'm dead either way, no matter how this turns out in this situation. And he's old and everything that's going on in the world right now. He's like, but there's people here that need help. And he points to this man who's sitting there with this young girl, and the children are, I guess, even in this world that are alive still are in trouble, and so are the people. So Swamp Thing, as always, succumbs to helping humanity in some sense, and he's like, okay, well, if you have me here temporarily, I will try to help you with whatever's going on. And then he encounters another Swamp Thing like creature that the green, where they suck their power source from, is basically controlling. And he find out in this issue that the green is actually combining with the red, which is where Animal Man and stuff gets his powers from, and the I think the other one's the black or the gray or something like that. There's like three elements that they kind of have in the DC universe where they can pull these things for natural resource elements, like from like power sources. And they're all combining together because they're all dying out, because in this world now, in the future, the post-apocalyptic wasteland, humans are basically destroyed everything. They destroyed the environment. They destroyed there's nothing basically living except for some humans. So as a result, they're all banding together to take down what's left on the earth. So Swamp Thing's just like, you guys are you're taking out children. Like, what's wrong with you? So he's stepping up, but the Swamp Thing doesn't have the powers he has anymore because he's not pulling from the green. Like, he's not pulling from his power source. So therefore, he's very weak. Like, he's fighting these guys, and he's like dying during this issue and trying to put up a fight against all these creatures and stuff that he's encountering, because like he's not what he used to be. He doesn't have those powers anymore. And he's like, I just want to go back to my family in the afterlife or wherever the hell he's from. But he's like, he feels like a need still to help out in the situation. So it was an interesting issue in that sense. It was an interesting situation. I feel like I haven't seen Swamp Thing in, because it takes place in it's DC Black Label, so it's like it's out of continuity type stories, right? So, it was really good. I will say the art was spotty, and sometimes it feels like the artist still was rushed to put this out even like a year later.
It took a year. Come on.
I mean,
there's no excuse for that.
he had no inker on this. It was just his name. There was no inker on it associated. So some of them looked like bare pencils, just colors slapped on. I'm going to tell you right now. But most of the pages look great. Like, but some of them, it was just, he looked rushed still. So I'm just like, I don't know. It looked like he took some corners and putting this out finally, even though like like you said, it's taken a year. So, but honestly, it was a solid issue. Deadman showed up at the end. It looks like John Constantine's trying to ask him for help as well because it looks like the Green and everybody literally is coming up against Swamp Thing now on his own with no power source right now by the end of this issue. So it looks like they're trying to call in everybody. With one more issue to go, they got a lot of ground to cover, quite frankly, even though these are oversized. They're like 48-page issues, but it was good. I really enjoyed this. So I'll give it a 4. I would like to give it more based on story, but the art was, like I said, spotty in some sections. Like some of it looked still rushed out. So I'll give it a 4. But it was good. A year later, it was still a joy to read. So I'm happy that
They should put out the third one in another year. Just freaking stick with it.
Yeah, apparently
the some sort of event.
Apparently the third one's done and it's coming out next month. But yeah, I hear you. Next up, we got Kea number 5. Just another good, enjoyable installment in this series. I think it's a great adventure story. It had a lot to do with the lizards in this one, like these lizard creatures that they've been working alongside in this story so far. And in this issue, you find out the main character, Kea, she finds out that the lizard boy that she's kind of in love with, that she knew from her past, that she encountered during this journey that they're on, is already promised to another person, like in terms of like wedding vow, like, you know, like there's another kind of thing that wants her to get linked up with their people to strengthen both of their societies. But they're both like lizard creatures of some sort, or different creatures. So like, you know, she's really upset about it because she really loves this guy, but like, you know, it's not happening. Like he literally has to wed this girl in this issue. So a lot of the issue focused on them going to the wedding. And it was just like one of those refresher issues where we focus on a lot of the characters and see what's going on with them, like in, you know, in all their relationships with one another and everything. So great art as always, enjoyable story. I give this a 3.75 out of 5. I'm really enjoying this series. I think it's really good. It ends this current arc, and then a trade paperback's going to come out, which I'm double dipping on and grabbing. And then the next issue is going to be a standalone issue. It's set in the back of the issue, like from the artist and writer of this book. A standalone issue that will not be collected in the trade paperback. So if you guys aren't reading this in issues, you're going to lose out. And he said that because he wanted to do something extra for the people that are keeping this book alive through issue sales, which is a big deal for comics, to keep it kind of going. And it's like a one and done story about the origin of the girl Kea's arm. She's got like this like I don't know, like the $6 million man arm or something. She's got this, yeah, she's got like this robot arm in this story, and we don't know why she has it. So apparently this issue is going to be explaining as to why she has this arm, right? So it's a little extra, I think, he said for the issue readers. So yeah, check it out. And then lastly here of things I read, Iron Man number 3 came out this week. This is still really good. I don't know who this villain reveal is going to be, but this guy is fucking up this guy, Tony Stark's life in this series. I mean, I know I think you read the last 2 issues, right, Chris, of this series? It just continued in this issue. By the end of the issue, it seems like he knows finally who the villain is. That's like at all points of his life, like just like fucking him up. Like wherever he goes, he's killing off friends of his. He knows relationships. He knows everything about him. He knows where he's going to go next. And this issue, it was War Machine, Rhodey, and him face off against a. It turns out to be like a not an AI. What are they called? What are those robots called in Life Model Decoy?
Oh, yeah.
So there's like LMD. There's a Life Model Decoy LMD robot that basically looks exactly like Tony Stark in this, that he encounters in an old lab that he abandoned in some other city or something that he had just had as stashed away in case he was ever there or whatever. So he goes. He tracks down some shit that's going down, like through maybe like some sort of readings or activity that's happening. And he goes and finds this lab that he had squirreled away somewhere. He goes there and finds this Life Model Decoy like stashed away there. And the Life Model Decoy looks exactly like Tony Stark. So I'm just like, yeah, of course it does. And so they're both fighting each other. He ends up taking him out. and then he starts spouting off towards the end of their fight about getting destroyed, about how like, there's nowhere you can't go. I got you. Like he's just basically taunting him, like all this shit.
Yeah.
And then like his skin just melts away, like it's like Terminator, like it's just like melting away. It's just like it was a pretty cool scene of him like laughing maniacally as like his whole skin like just melts away and it's just laughing at him, and he's fucked up. Like Tony Stark, like he just he was in rehab and everything else from the conclusion of the last series, and he's just a mess right now, right? So he whoever's doing this is really pushing him to his like final like he's about to kill himself, it seems like at this point. So I liked it. I give it a 3.75 out of 5. The art was good, the story is interesting. I'm still interested to see where it goes. I've been reading this online digitally, but it's a good story so far, so definitely check it out if you're a fan of Iron Man. I just hope it's not disappointing who they reveal it to be. Like he said at the end of this issue, I know who it is. Rhodey, stay
Could be his
back.
father or something.
Yeah, so we'll see. All right, next up we got Chris, Nemesis Reloaded #2. What do you think of this one?
It's a bit of an origin story, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was ready for an origin story for Nemesis. It's my second issue reading them, so I was looking forward to getting more Nemesis. The premise of the story, it's pretty interesting, where he's trying to, I guess, take down this city where he's got $10,000 on a bounty on every cop's head, and so they get into a bit of that stuff, and that was okay, but I didn't really care much for the origin of him as a little kid and having whatever dipshit parents and things like that. But the art is still great, and there's some nice splash pages and nice scenes where I think he's jumping out of that car to kill somebody near the end.
Yeah.
That'll give it a couple points. What do you think of it?
There was also a really great striking scene of him on a rooftop, like watching the cops, and like he has one guy apparently that's unlike all the other crooks, or like, hey, we're just like normal folks or whatever. He's like, don't worry, your part in this will be revealed soon. And he's got like, it's just a cool visual. He wears a complete white suit, but there's blood splattered all over the suit. Like it's like a really cool. I really like that as a page. I was like, well, that's actually really cool. Like the visual of him having just slight blood splatter all over his white suit that he has, right, as a villain. But I agree with you, because the first miniseries told you nothing about this guy. And I feel like he's one of these like notorious supervillain type characters that you shouldn't even really get into the origin.
Better not to know about him.
Like a Joker or even a Wolverine at some point, before they both tried to explain both of their origins, like many times.
If you don't like the origin, that's not the real origin. That was just, But anyways,
I agree. I think it's just if this book just stuck to the first miniseries that was just straight brutality, I would have still enjoyed it with great art, because that's basically what the first series was. But I will say I did like the part in the origin story in this, though, about the shit that they really did push him to go through during his training. Though it was like some Mr. Miyagi type shit to the extreme. Like they had him hanging on rocks in a waterfall for a
for 3 days or whatever,
or 3 days, and people like were walking by, they couldn't even tell that he was actually there. And he's like, I don't even know how they did that, but no one could tell it was hanging from these rocks. So it was just like, that's crazy. Like, like things like that is amusing. I like when Mark Miller comes up with these like extreme ideas and shit like that. But like, like you said, it didn't do much for me in the sense that I would have just rather see him fuck up cops for another.
Yeah, like, I don't need to know he's part of like some League of Assassins and all this sort of baloney stuff, with whatever secret society that he's in right now, that I imagine he's going to turn his back on, because he is who he is. But
right. But that's what I mean. Maybe that's where it's coming to. I guess we'll see. I'm still in it. I mean, I'm in it.
Oh, yeah, I'm still in it, definitely. Like, the other parts is enough to push me through, but
yeah,
I'm just hoping this isn't sort of like the Punisher there, where half the issue is about his history and half the issue is the good stuff,
I mean, I'm sure we're going to get a couple more issues of Origin. I hear you, though. But I would have preferred more for it to be like the first issue was, where it's just focusing on the current day.
Yeah, I want to see some gore and, some violence.
Well, so what'd you give this one out of 5 then?
I'll give it a 3.75. I do like the art, and the story was decent.
Same. This is actually a majority, I'll tell you guys right now, a 3.75 week. I feel like there's a lot of things I read this week that just didn't meet the 4 threshold for me. It just fell short, but also didn't go into the 3.5 where I'm like, it was just like, it's a 3.75 week for a lot of the books I read this week. I'll say right now, but yeah, this is good though. Yeah. So all right, next up we got Fantastic Four number 4, which is the issue where they finally reveal what happened with this big hole in the ground at the start of this event. Yeah, what do you think of this one?
What the hell goes on in New York? Jesus Christ, man! Imagine you're living in that city. First, you got these demons coming in. Now you got these were they people from the negative zone or demons from the negative zone, and when nobody else is around, it's just a Fantastic Four in that day or that moment.
Apparently.
I don't know, and they can't handle it. They took on the Reckoning War. They had no problem with that. Now they can't handle a bunch of dummies from the negative zone, and that's his plan that he comes up with. I'm just gonna freaking blip New York City. With all the hype around this, I thought this was very
underwhelming.
Underwhelming, yeah, perfect word, and it just pushing your limits of believability, even comic land. You know what I mean?
So I'm right there with you. I agree it was underwhelming for the reveal initially, but I did like the fallout of it because it got to explore the fact of the relationship of why it got so rocky between Mr. Fantastic and the Thing. Like the whole thing where he's sitting there like saying like, listen, like this is all I could come up with at the time. I know I like it, the fact that he acted so quickly on this and erased that fucking bill. It's like, no, but Ben and Alicia, you don't get it. Like your kids, because the kids were in the building at the time for anybody that doesn't know, like he basically zapped the building out of Times Square, wherever the fuck they are, that Fantastic Four building. Out of the city into some sort of dimension where time doesn't move the same as it does, and they would be safe, and then they would be back in a year's time, their time, but like 5 minutes or something would fucking pass in their time. Something ridiculous where it's like, or no time at all or something like that. And like when he broke it down to that in his mind, he's like, oh yeah, well, of course this was the answer. But like, he's like, you think Alicia started freaking out, which I love that. So he's like, do you think I'm fine with you taking my kids away for a year from us without you just thinking?
And it wasn't just the Baxter building; it was like the whole block, like the whole. Like, but it happened to random people were gone.
But they're only focused clearly on their situation in the thing. Because at first they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea."
It was just the Baxter building. Okay, maybe it was evacuated and it was just the kids, but there's like kids that went to school that are gone, or parents that were at work and they're gone for a year.
No, but realistically, like the fact that he like, and it just speaks to, I think, like he gets Reed Richards. And another shout out to Ryan North, the writer on this book. I'll give him this as well. Like, not everything's clicking for me in this book, and I've still continued to read it online because I wanted to know the reveal of this thing, and past this, I don't know. We'll see what happens with me reading it, but he does. What I love about this guy is that he writes Mr. Fantastic. He's actually stretching and using his fucking powers. Like, I cannot tell you how many comics I've read, Chris, of Fantastic Four in recent years where they literally just use him for his intellect. They don't use his stretching powers at all. There's like no moments where he uses his stretching power. I'm like, do you guys forget this guy can stretch?
And again, they're taking his stretching powers to the limits here too. Like, he doesn't stretch out with just 2 arms. Like, he stretched out with like 50 arms to build whatever he built.
He's making weapons. He's like doing crazy shit. I love that. Like, that is a little thing I think that will go over some people's heads, where I'm telling you guys, I've read modern Fantastic Four comics for like the last, 10 years. Barely anybody has ever used this fucking guy to like his powers at all. And it's just, it's nice to see. I do like that. I do want to mention that. Like, that's something that sticks out to me, even in these first 4 issues. In the first issue, when they were primarily the characters in it, or maybe that was Ben, and the second issue was them. I think it was
they were all separated for the first 3 issues.
But,
I think.
Right. But every issue he's been in, he's used his powers like to their extent. Like, I'm just like, that's nice to see, because I feel like people have forgotten. They just use Reed as like, oh, this guy's the smartest guy in the room. Like, that's his power. I'm like, no, he actually stretches it. Like, no one uses it anymore, right? Like, so that for that matter alone, I did like this, but I also feel like you said, it was underwhelming. But I think that the problems it's going to cause for the family are going to speak volumes past like the actual event itself. Like they shouldn't have hyped this up for fucking 3-ish. This is the
Yeah.
weirdest rollout of a new series, Chris, that I've ever seen. Like this is the weirdest. Like the first 3 issues were going to separate everybody. They were going to give you a very underwhelming explanation as to why it happened.
Well, the next big issue is supposed to be 7 because that's going to be Legacy 700.
Right.
So I'll be reading for them. Maybe I'll pick up 7 just because.
I'm probably going to keep reading it because like he's getting some things really right, I feel like, about these characters, but then other things I'm just not as interested in. But we'll see. There is stuff I like about what he's doing so far, but it's just like everything's not clicking for me 100%. But he's just trying to find his legs. So, anyways, what'd you give this one out of 5?
I'll just give it a 3.5.
I'll give it a 3.75. Shout out to him making him stretch. That's all I gotta say about that. Nightclub number 3, Chris.
Nightclub number 3.
Yeah.
At $1.99, can't go wrong. No. That's worth at least 2 points right there.
Yeah.
And the story's pretty decent in there. Those kids are up to their shenanigans, trying to, I guess they bite off a bit more than they can chew here. And at the end, I guess the guy that the original, I don't want to say the original vampire, but the vampire that turned the first kid, he's like getting all up in arms. What the heck? He turns these kids into vampires and just lets them go on their own. You don't expect bad things to happen, or I don't know what his plan was.
Well, to be fair, he only turned the one guy into a vampire.
Yeah, what? He turned him into a vampire and just let him be. You know, it's not like he showed up and said, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah, that's the only part I don't get about this. Yeah, he just literally
like, why is he mad at the end?
Yeah, I know. He's like, what? He's like,
yeah. Maybe he's mad that they're doing this all online or something, but otherwise, it's still a fun story. It's a bunch of kids, kind of enjoying their powers. And, I guess when they go out and they blow up that building, I guess they realize, they got to kind of tone it down a bit or something.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this issue still. I think it's a fun miniseries. I agree with you. I'm still enjoying it for what it is. And that's what I mean. Like, I feel like this is more Mark Miller that I like. You're not putting too much stock into what's happening and just having a fun time with it, as opposed to what he was trying to do over Nemesis Reloaded number 2 the same week, right? So, that's where he's like, let's put some importance to the origins of this character. I feel like, other people got to do that, and that's fine and all that, but it's not what I've come to expect from a lot of his books. They're usually free-flowing and very fun and kind of fast-paced, and 5 issues or 6 issues, and you're in or out. If you like it, you like it, you had a good time with it, whatever. And that's basically what I think the series is so far. I don't think it's going to stand the test of time where I'm like, whoa, fucking, this is one of the best series I've ever read. But it's a good time, man. I'm enjoying it. I like these characters.
You never know. There could be a show on Netflix soon.
Oh, well, he's got the Netflix deal, so it's very
exactly. Possible. Yeah, this is basically just this could be like whatever they give to the studios or to the things there, a draft
option.
Yeah, this is what my next show is going to look like. Here's 5 issues. Read it. What do you think?
Yeah, but that's a lot of his things. A lot of his things are just pitches for TV shows, right?
Yeah.
So as is, I mean, people like vampires, so I can see the appeal behind this one. It's fun. So,
this might be a little off topic here, but do you still have that Woman of Tomorrow? Those issues? Oh.
Let's not get into that, man. I wish you fucking took them off my hands.
I wish I took them now. Well, I wish I took them now so I can give them back to you.
Yeah, for fuck's sakes. That's what I'm saying. But I basically gave them away. And then the week after they announced those fucking DC announcements that we didn't talk on the show here, the fucking James Gunn stuff. And he's like, I'm basing a fucking movie on this. I was like, I literally just sold the issues for pennies on the dollar the week before this happened. Yeah. And I even said that to the guy I sold it to. I was like, oh yeah, so it looks like I sold you to those to the worst time. He's like, he just laughed at me. I'm like, yeah. Fucking crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up, but just we were talking about the options and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I told you to take them, man. I told you it was the story you wanted. It's okay, not your fault. So what'd you give this one out of 5?
I'll give it 3.75.
Same. All right. Next up, we got Batman Beyond the White Knight number 8. This is the conclusion of the series. Which cover did you get?
I just got the 8th cover, I think.
So did I. There's
But,
apparently
wow, it's a secret cover. You didn't know until the end.
that's right. He snuck in the fucking Superman cover, which showed up at the end of this series. Everybody, he snuck that out. He's like, whoa! Like he even made an announcement about it. I was like, fuck. I had a chance to switch it with this on the rack, but I didn't. I wish I got the Superman cover. It's a nice cover though. It's basically this, but it's got Superman like flying.
Yeah, kind of pumping out there. Well,
Yeah,
that's a bit of a I don't know a red herring or a white herring. I don't know, a color herring, but
well, it's because he didn't want to spoil the fact that he's going to pivot into a Superman series in this universe.
yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but that's for the next series.
I don't know if you read the thing at the end of this issue, but he said he has his next two things lined up, which is one in May or something. I think it's coming out with Generation Joker, which is a spinoff Joker series about his daughter, and the other one is the Superman basically in this universe series. So I'm on board for all of it. I like this White Knight series, but anyways, what do you think of this issue though? The conclusion of this.
Yeah, no, I think it felt a little flat. I think this was just more hype for his new series. You know, like the most interesting part was the last 3 or 4 pages. You know, the battle for the end of this was once again a bit underwhelming. Let's say, you know, it was nice to see. I guess he put his mask on and all that sort of stuff. I like the Joker stuff still there when he's always talking about the Rambler and all that sort of thing. It was all good, but I don't know. I guess it's hard to wrap up something like this, you know, when it's sort of epic. You know, I guess they were fighting. You know, all the troops are coming together and they're ready to go to battle. I guess it's hard to put everything together, you know, in one issue. What'd you feel?
I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, no, I love when we're on the same page in this sense. Yeah, it was underwhelming. I kept reading this issue. I mean, it meant a lot going into it. I've loved this whole all of the series that came before this in this universe. I think he's a great artist, and it just didn't hit the mark for me. I thought it was good. It was a decent wrap up. It was what you would have come to expect from the wrap up of this series, but it didn't pull no punches. It was no surprising shit that happened other than the Superman thing, which got spoiled prior to the release of this. And yeah, it's just like, you know, it was I was expecting a lot more. So underwhelming is the word in that sense. Not that it was bad. It was not bad by any means.
No, not bad at all. But like, it's just the other issues have been so good.
Yes.
You know, I was expecting something there at the end here just to really, you know, knock your socks off.
Yeah.
And I guess there was, but it wasn't part of this story. It's just hyping the news stories.
Yes.
And I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna stick with it. And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna continue along with this the journey. But this one was it was okay. It was a good wrap up. I think the whole thing with the Joker. The only thing that sucked about the Joker is like literally he got killed off screen. It seemed like there was a moment where they were talking to him, and then he got in his daughter. Maybe that's where the miniseries leads into. I don't know if that's a past story of the current day. But she gets into the car with him, and she's talking to her father, the Joker, who's like a computer, basically program.
I guess, he's the hologram out there now because everybody seemed to be able to see him.
So she's talking to him on the screen, and then all of a sudden she gets in the car, and then she's talking to him on the screen there. And she from there it cuts scenes, and then the next one is just like, oh yeah, well I guess that's the last you're gonna see of the Joker, because I think all the things just like basically fizzled out, like they basically the database or something like that, and he's gone. And then like it was literally from one scene to the next, and I'm like, you guys didn't show that at all. You just like talked about it. Like they're all
I think it's just because he's not dead. You know, unless you see people die.
Yeah, but
then half the time they're not dead.
But all the heroes are just standing around like, yeah, I guess that's the last we're going to see about the Joker. I was like, what? Jack Napier, you know, which is his name in the...
Well, none of them like them anyway, so I don't see them getting all too bent out of shape that he's gone.
Yeah. So what'd you give this out of 5?
I'll go to 3.75.
Same. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to give it. Like I said, it's a 3.75 type of week. All right, next up, Hulk number 12. Yeah. I got the physical too. Yeah. I had the physical for a bunch of these guys. I just didn't bring them with me because I read them prior to coming down here. Yeah, what'd you think of this?
Well, it's better. It's getting better. You know, the last few issues I think have been a little subpar. This one seems to bring things or hype things up a little bit. You know, getting new characters in there. We got Doctor Strange and who else was there with him trying to figure out what's going on? Let's see, was it? And, you know, they kind of throw back to the engine room there when you have what's his name, Bruce Banner's father trying to fire up the Hulk, and I guess they do some meditation. I might have to keep that line there that they use with that the waves don't break me because I'm strong or something.
Yeah.
I might have to use that Zen meditation sometimes to I don't know, for whatever reason. I'll figure it out one day. But otherwise, I thought it was a pretty good issue. It's better than the last few, and hopefully, I know the series is ending, and I hope it at least ends on a high note.
Absolutely. Compared to the stupid last issue where I wasn't, I guess maybe.
Yeah, with that God Ball or whatever they're doing.
Maybe it wasn't in the mood for it because maybe it's a fun idea, but it's just like I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. Other than the last issue where he just comes to the planet and they're just playing like a version of baseball up in space.
Yeah.
This was a lot better. This covered a lot of ground. I mean, we're getting to the core of like what the Titan thing was with him being his father and his like subconscious or something like that, and all that shit. Because we all know that, or people that have read a lot of Hulk stuff may know that his father was abusive. They've documented in other comics. So like, this is what kind of where his rage is fueled from and everything else. So like, yeah, this covered a lot of ground. This issue. This was actually a really good issue. I thought this is a major step up from what we got before this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know, because I know Donny Cates still plotting this, but Ryan Otley's writing it. I don't know if Donny Cates literally just handed him over all the bulk of the fucking material that he was going to bust.
That's what I feel like. I feel like, Donny Cates had this one pretty much written where he might not have had, like for whatever, issue 13 or issue 11, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do here, and what's his name? Ryan Otley kind of just, called an audible, and I got to do something to get us to the 11th, to issue 12.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's basically what happened. But hey, it paid off. I think this.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take this 12. If I got to buy, 2 11s to get a 12, that's fine.
I was pleasantly surprised to read this one going into it. I was like, my expectations were very low based off the last one. And I was like, you know what? This was actually a pretty good issue. This one. So yeah, I'll give it that. So yeah, what'd you give this one then out of 5?
Yeah, I'll give this 3.75. I thought it was good.
I'm actually going to go as far as giving it a 4. I was very pleasantly surprised with this one. Yeah, 4 to 5. Yeah, it was good. Good stuff. Then next up, we got X-Men 19.
Bingo.
Yeah, got that too. I got the physical release.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Once again, I think I might be brooded out with everything between Captain Marvel and here. I figure the X-Men going to the Brood, they should just be able to wipe them out by now. Like I don't think these Brood people or this Brood hive should be so powerful. It just reminds me of, I don't know, the Q come in or from Star Trek or whatever. Whenever I don't know, the Borg come in. They should have been able to figure out how to beat these people by now. But I do like the old, what's her name? The old Laura Kinney, I guess, the Wolverine now.
Yeah.
I think that's a good addition to the team there, and I'm happy to see her around.
Yeah. Yeah, I like her a lot too. And my favorite scene in this whole issue was where Forge is basically just forging ahead. Like he's like they're like trying to blast into like this.
Right, they go through that Forever Gate or one of the gates there that they weren't sure where it's going to take them or something.
Right, he doesn't know where it's going to take them, and they're like, as soon as they go into it, he's like, oh yeah, this might have been a mistake, and then like he blasts through it. There's a panel where it's like, Forge, the smartest idiot in the universe. You're the smartest idiot in the universe because he doesn't think about the consequences, right? And I just think like this is one of the best books I think that's ever like. He obviously loves Forge, Jerry Duggan, the writer of this book, because I feel he's somebody that gets undersold a lot in the X-Men books. Like, and I think like he hasn't really had like many great, like he's always been around, I think, since the 90s, but not to the point where like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, he's my favorite character, but like he is putting him front and center in this series. Honestly, he is.
Like I remember when we were talking when they picked a new team and like Forge was put in there. I'm like, Forge, what the hell? Who cares about Forge?
But I love
he's pulling his weight on this team.
I love him on this book. We just
he's driving like a lot of the story here.
Right. Not only that, we were just talking about him last week. Remember when he's like, "Oh, this gun is like." Remember in the dark web when he's
Yeah.
like shooting that? Like he's great, and which Jerry Duggan also wrote. So you can tell this guy likes his character a lot. Like he's a great character, right? So yeah. So I'm rooting for him in this book, and I'm having a good time with this character. So, but as is, this was one of the weaker issues. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It just wasn't focused, I feel like, on things that have been as interesting as they have been as doing lately. And yeah, this Brood stuff is whatever. But so what'd you give this one out of 5?
Yeah, I'm giving it 3.5.
Same. Yeah, but shout out to Forge because again he's
Yeah.
having a renaissance in this series. Quite
There are some
frankly.
good characters in here, you know, like I like
Yeah.
the Firestark stuff. It's all
Yeah.
good, but just a lackluster issue, let's say.
Absolutely. All right, Mary Jane and Black Cat number 3.
Yep.
What'd you think of this one?
I don't know. This one's starting to grow on me a little bit there. I was feeling a little down on it in the second issue, but this one back here, you know, the conversation they have with is it Sim, that demon there? I thought that was all fun stuff, you know, where I'll betray you at the end, but everybody's all upfront about that, and the drama between Mary Jane and Black Cat that seems to be brewing it a little bit. She seems to realize something's going on, so we'll see how that plays out. And knowing kind of what happens, I guess, in Amazing Spider-Man, the last issue, something does play out, and yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. And the art's great. And even though it's that still same old story that she's got to steal something, I still think they're making it work. I thought it'd be sort of played out after reading, a couple of those trades, where it's almost like that's almost the same formula working out. But I guess they got a good twist on this one still.
Yeah. I agree. I really like the ending reveal of this, despite knowing like where it might lead from the other series. I like the ending. I do think like this story got a little bit more interesting with this one, with the whole demon thing and how they're kind of working their way through limbo there. And he comments on magic, and then how now magic was one person.
Yeah, that was a good comment though too. It's like, why doesn't a freaking demon run limbo? How come you have all these stupid Earth people running limbo all the time?
It was first magic, and now it's what's her name?
Yeah, Madeline Pryor. If I was a demon, I'd be upset too.
Yeah. So I think it was good in that sense. Like it actually added a lot to not only this storyline, but just like, just thoughts like that, which actually gave it some it was much more interesting, just the basic Mary Jane and Black Cat going into hell type scenario that they had going on prior to that, right? So yeah, it was good. I did like it better than the first issue, because I think it started off strong, and then last issue we're like, this is kind of weak, and then this is kind of good again. I feel like this, so we'll see where it goes, but it was enjoyable. So what'd you give this one?
I'm like, yeah, it's nothing spectacular, but the covers are great, characters are great. I'll give it 3.75. Like you say, it's a 3.75 week.
That's how I felt about a lot of these books, and I'm also giving you this a 3.75 out of 5. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, Spider-Man number 5 is our last book here tonight. So, Spider-Man number 5. Yeah, I actually got to pick up the physical release of this. I didn't miss pre-ordering this one for whatever reason, so I got to seek one out. But yeah, what'd you think of this?
Well, I haven't been too big on the Spider-Man universe or the end of the Spider-Verse and Mark Bagley, but I don't know what he did in this issue. I thought the art in this issue was just freaking awesome. Like, I might have to go look back to make sure it's still the same artist drawing this.
Yeah, man, it's the same artist. It's I know he stepped it up in this issue. It's pretty crazy in that sense, right? Like, I agree. This one looked much better than
this one looked great, and the story here, I thought the story was freaking awesome. Like with Peter Parker, if he didn't get bitten, and how his life would have turned out, and it turns out so great. Like, everything seemed to work out for him in this here.
I'm happy you're saying this, Chris, because like the love of Spider-Man is strong between us, and I feel like, and this was the best issue of this series thus far.
Oh, hands down, easily.
I mean, we get an origin for Silk guys in this who's being referenced as Spider-Woman in this series because Peter Parker isn't a thing. And the way that they got there to the point that we saw in the previous issue, which had us scratching our heads, we're like, which version of Peter is this? They explained in this. It almost felt like, at first it felt like, oh, we're gonna tell some fucking same origin of Spider-Man again at the start of this issue. It was anything but. this was an excellent issue as a one-shot issue, and this is how you do these like moments outside of the main series when you're going to go in deep on a character. This was it. This was a successful departure from everything that's going on with the stupid, like, oh, here's all these Spider-Verse.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah,
if they could have stuck with something like this the whole week. The problem is I have to go through 4 issues of garbage before this, and then another series of the Edge of the Spider-Verse or whatever that one was for.
A second miniseries. They're doing a second miniseries now. I don't know if you heard about it. They're doing a second Edge of Spider-Verse based on these characters. Yeah, I'm out, but
yeah. I don't know.
This was good.
This was a good issue, and if this goes on, if this takes off from here, which I doubt, because I guess they got to bring all those stupid spider people back. I don't know. Yeah. Unless they bring back that wreck car or whatever, they can bring him in from Limbo. Then that might turn things around.
Yeah,
it's a good story. Finally, maybe it's Dan Slott that does this. Yeah. Good for at least it gives me hope for whatever Dan Slott plans on writing after this arc. Maybe he was forced to do this because he has to have the tying in with the movie or something, and then he can be free to do what he wants after this.
This was the most pleasant surprise of the week was this issue.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, for me, I was been down on this series. I've been almost just reading it out of like necessity to read it. Like
exactly, yeah, but it had nothing to do with any of those various spider variants, and the story was just super awesome.
Yeah, it was a good issue. It was a good fucking issue. And I loved how he got to the point that he did somehow still throughout everything that happened, how it was not focused on him. He's making gadgets for her. He works for
Oscorp. Flash now, but Ben Parker's still alive.
Great.
It seems that Norman Osborn doesn't become the Goblin somehow because he doesn't become Spider-Man. I don't know.
He's working for Oscorp and still at the end of this, and they're sending him messages like the dead Peter throughout the spider the time stream or the web or whatever.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe you can open that thing up and then
the life web or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
I'd say it's so. It's interesting. This is a good issue. I agree.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised with this one. So, what'd you give this out of 5?
I got to give this a 4.5. Easy. I loved everything about this one.
I'll go 4.25. I'm just a little lower than you, but I agree. This was a standout issue of the series, and if this is a week. I know I said this is mostly a 3.75 week, but this was a great issue this week for sure. They come out.
Sure.
Absolutely. All right. And so that's going to do it for all the books that we wanted to talk about this week, guys, that we read. Chris, do you have your list for next week?
I do.
Okay, if you want to bring that up here.
All right.
Second. What we're reading next week, guys. I'm probably going to have to press mine, and I'll be dark on my screen while I read mine. But, yeah, that's what we're reading next week. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I got Immoral X-Men #1, She-Hulk 10, Amazing Spider-Man 20, Thor 31, Catwoman 42, Deceased 6, Nightwing 101. That's Superman #1. I think I ordered that.
Yeah.
And I might be getting the new Scorched. I don't know what number that's at, though.
Scorched. Okay, you're jumping back into that.
I think they still get it for me at the comic shop.
Wow, then, if that's the case.
Pardon me?
It probably hasn't come out for a while then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I think I might have got the last one, but I still haven't read it yet. Okay. That had a pretty decent cover.
Okay.
But all the stories are freaking wacky anyways.
So hold up, guys. Am I black on screen?
You're black on screen, but we can hear you still.
Okay. So guys, sorry about that, but let me just pull up my list here. So I got Batman, Superman, World's Finest #12 next week. Deceased, War of the Undead Gods #6. Nightwing 101. Guys, I think it's a big week for me next week. Superman #1 as well. I'm looking forward to that. Superman Space Age 3, which is the last issue of that miniseries. You got Amazing Spider-Man 20. Immoral X-Men #1. Strange Academy Finals #4. Thor 31 and TMNT Last Ronin Lost Years #2. So yeah, that's my list for next week, guys. Maybe something that I'm gonna read digitally. That's everything I'm picking up physically, but yeah, that's gonna do it for all my physical releases anyways. I don't have the digital ready, but yeah, decent sized week anyway. So yeah, good stuff. All right, Chris.
Yep.
But this week though, our favorite book of the week this week. What is yours?
Guess when it comes at the end, it's easy to say. It has to be Spider-Man.
Fuck, man. Same with me. I'm kind of like, I feel like validated in the sense you also thought it was good because I know we both weren't really loving this series, but like, so I'm glad, like, and no, I know we both like Spider-Man, but I'm glad like we were both ready to admit like this was a standout issue.
Yeah, like I'm happy to say if a Spider-Man story stinks, but I'm not taking it. It's not like a mediocre story after garbage. This was a good story.
Yeah, honestly, the only other one I think that was in contention for the running this week, because like I said, it was like a 3.754 type of week, like in terms
Yeah,
of everything was decent, everything was good, but not like a standout in that sense. This was a standout because this was the best issue yet on a series I was not really loving.
yeah,
But the only other one I think I may have given a nod to prior to this one would have been Avengers Forever 14. Actually, I think that
yeah.
was I've just been having a lot of fun with that series. So like out of everything else this week, like that was and Swamp Thing was decent too, but like I had some issues with that. Like I said, it's been gone for a fucking year. I couldn't give it to that, but
Yeah.
yeah, this
If
was
they get
good.
an omnibus of this Avengers Forever, this final Avengers battle, that would be a good one to read where it's all together. You need a big one because I can't even fit that in a trade.
I think they are
Where
going to probably do that because the run that he's had is probably going to fit into 2 omnibus hardcovers
yeah,
perfectly. Yeah, so in something I might have to revisit. I didn't love the main series for the most part during its time. Like I said, I read about 50 issues of this series, but I have loved everything he's did that weaved into the events he's done with this series. I loved Avengers Forever. I've loved the Avengers Forever stuff I've read. I
yeah,
love the ending of Avengers. I even like the stuff that I gave you, the Heroes Reborn stuff. I thought that was excellent. That
yeah.
stuff.
That was good
Like,
stuff.
yeah. So like, I think when he
And
goes
that's
crazy,
all tying into what's happening right now. That seems to be from a long time ago.
absolutely, because the Mephisto storyline ran strong throughout the Heroes
Yeah.
Reborn stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so there you go, guys. So definitely, there's some good stuff that came out this week. Definitely go and check it out. And yeah, unless there's anything else you want to bring up, Chris, I think that's going to do it for this week.
Oh, hold on, but one thing here to have show.
Yeah, man.
A little pickup here. This was an Alex Ross, I
Ooh.
think, with a Black Widow #2. Little gift from my LCS for being a loyal customer.
Hey, not bad. That's nice. That's always
So
nice.
they really realize I like the cheesecake covers. That's not too cheesecakey, but
No,
one
but
thing with
that's
Alex Ross, he doesn't do the ladies very well. This is no Archer, I'll say that much, but it's still a good cover.
sure not cheesecakey, but that's a classic Black Widow version right
Yeah,
there. That one with the things on her
yeah,
arms and
the
stuff like that.
stingers or whatever.
That's a nice looking cover still, and is Alex
Yeah, I'd be
Ross.
scared of this Black Widow.
Exactly. No, that's good to hear, man. That's good. And I think that just goes to show you guys, like, you should support your LCSs out there, guys. I know we talk about sometimes reading things digitally, not physically on the show here, but we also do. We're also committed to kind of supporting our stores, and we do like going to stores and buying our physical releases as well, as you can tell. So yeah. It is important. It really is an important part because comics is such a niche thing. Honestly, guys, it's still
Yeah,
really. I mean, Chris even coming back into the hobby, like he was last collecting during the boom of the fucking '90s when it was the hottest thing of all time, probably at that time. Now it's a different story, right? So it's
that
right.
is one thing I miss, going to the comic shop and having the racks there, and kind of, ooh, I didn't see this one or I didn't see that one. Now I got to plan out 3 months. I still got to put in my solicitations or my pre-orders or whatever, my pull list for what's it, March, April, for April, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think the
right.
May solicitations might be coming out soon. I've
They
seen some
actually
covers already.
They actually are as of today. They actually came out, but I'm gonna wait till next week, guys.
Yeah,
We're
for
gonna be
sure.
reviewing. We're gonna be reviewing Marvel and DC next week because I'll have the better setup where I can actually put them on the screen for you guys. So like we're gonna do that next week. So the
Yeah,
new solicitations are out. We will be going over those next week. Yeah, you're right. They literally just came out. The solicitations for May of 2023 this week. So there's some interesting things there. So it'll be fun to
yeah.
talk about as always. So. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today, though. But, as always, like I said, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Hit us up in the comments. Read those comics. Support your LCS. All that good stuff, man. So, yeah. And thank you to Chris, as always, for joining me on the show. It's always a good time chatting.
Nope. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Okay. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Later.